Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2018 Audi RS4 Avant. Now this is part of the 5th generation of the A4, which started production in 2015. And yeah, this RS4 version is the most powerful version of any A4, as it shares its engine with the RS5, which we've already looked at. But obviously this is a much larger car than that RS5, but despite that it actually does weigh 44 pounds less. For some reason, I'm not quite sure why, but it definitely has a bigger body, and yeah, definitely has a lot more in the way of practicality than the RS5. But yeah, because it's obviously got the RS5 engine, it means it's able to blend, the sportiness of that car with the practicality of a standard estate car. And yeah, there's no doubt that this is a really practical, really good looking and well made car overall, as you can see by the interior, which again looks pretty much like the RS5 to be honest, but obviously where the RS5 falls down is in terms of practicality, which is where this car has that car trumped. If we get the prompts, there we go. So yeah, rear legroom is obviously way better than in the RS5. Got more headroom as well, because you haven't got the sloped down coupe body style hindering headroom. So yeah, all very nice in there, but obviously the big advantage with an estate car is the boot. Oh God, I don't know why these prompts keep popping up wrongly, but whatever. So yeah, massive boot, plenty of room in there. Pretty sure the rear seats will fall down as well, giving you even more room on top of that. So yeah, pretty damn good. And even though I think the RS5 is a slightly better looking car, this is by no means a bad looking car either. It does look somewhat similar, but a little bit, bulkier, a little bit more muscular in some regards, owing to the fact that it does have a larger body going for it. But yeah, still a good looking car, and like I said, it shares the engine with the RS5, so that means plenty of power from its 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, producing 444 horsepower and 442 pounds-feet of torque, which is the same as the RS5, but more powerful than the previous generation of the RS4, because even though it has the same power as that V8 that was in that car, like with the RS5, it's got way more in the way of torque. You're talking 125 extra pounds-feet of torque, which is, yeah, a definite sizable amount. So yeah, but this in a whole is pretty much like the RS5 in a lot of ways. So yeah, nothing really here new outside of the bodywork, to be honest. So yeah, but nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what it can do. So as you'd expect with a car with a larger body, it's not quite as quick as its more sporty variant, but it's extremely close. But nonetheless, let's get out on this drag strip, see how quick we can go before we get the speed camera, and then we'll hoon it around the track. So yeah, still got the quattro all-wheel drive system, so it's quick off the line, and yeah, with having it the same power as the RS5, it's no slouch, especially for a car that is as practical and as large as this car is. So yeah, 132 pretty much there. So yeah, like I said, we're slightly down on power, slightly down on acceleration over the RS5. And imagine that's down to its aerodynamics, a slightly bulkier body. We've also got those roof rails on it, and it looks like quite a large spoiler. So yeah, the 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 times are slightly down, but owing to the overall aerodynamics, it's actually slightly quicker at the top end. And yeah, sharing the same engine, it does sound pretty similar as well as the RS5. But we'll quickly look at the stats overall, and then we'll listen to the engine and talk about it some more. So yeah, switch to normal event, rivals. So yeah, we're in middle A class. So if you look at it compared to the RS5, we're pretty much the same. Apparently the speed is slightly more. I think it's probably because it's got a more, better rear end on it for aerodynamically, which is probably why it's slightly better at the top end. And I feel like the lack of weight is helpful in terms of the handling and the braking, but yeah, the acceleration isn't quite as good purely because of the larger body that it's got going on. But the launch is, yeah, also not quite as good, again probably because it's got a larger body. But yeah, like as you can see, pretty much similar as the RS5. So yeah, but because this has more practicality, it's estate cars are generally a little bit rarer nowadays than they used to be even 10 years ago. I feel like estate cars have a more unique aspect to them that makes them a bit more attractive to try out or even buy. But nonetheless, that's it. Hear how it sounds, the engine, and we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, sounds pretty much the same as the RS5, which means it's not as good as the V8 in the previous generation, but it's still decent enough, and yeah, it certainly does sound sporty enough as well. But yeah, for some reason this actually feels better to in terms of handling than the RS5. Not sure how they've got it as light as it is, but for whatever reason, maybe down to the fact that the RS5 is a bit more of a GT car, so it's, you know, probably a bit softer in that regard, whereas this, because it's more of an everyday kind of vehicle, might be a little bit, you know, tougher in terms of its underneath stuff or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, I do think it's more of a case of this being an everyday car and the RS5 being, you know, more of a weekend toy or something like that. But nonetheless, it is slightly slower in terms of acceleration. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 3.930 seconds. 0 to 100 in 9.131 seconds, and it wants a top speed of 197 miles an hour. So that's a few miles an hour better at the top end, but it's about 0.3 of a second slower to 60 and to 100. So yeah, not awful by any means in terms of, you know, those kind of acceleration times, but especially given, you know, all of the advantages of having a car like this. But yeah, definitely a little bit slower than the RS5. But on the whole, I do prefer this to the RS5. It's a little bit nicer to drive, and yeah, the estate styling is more appealing to me as far as I'm concerned. And if it was a car I would buy on in real life, it would be this over the RS5 because of the practicality, and yeah, because estate cars are a bit of a rarity nowadays. To be honest, I prefer an estate car over most SUVs, because most SUVs can only carry 4 extra people. Most SUVs are as large in terms of the rear boot space as an estate car, but estate cars are usually lighter, they're usually you know, better to look at, better to drive, and yeah, they're not as hated on as, you know, SUVs are. I mean, if you look at there was a Top Gear episode that had a Mercedes-Benz and a BMW, and even though they were as, you know, as uneconomically friendly or unenvironmentally unsound as SUVs, no one was hating on them. Whereas if you'd have parked a Range Rover, people would have been, you know, giving it the, you know, bad looks. So yeah, I do think estate cars are something that should be, you know, enjoyed more and brought back in a bigger way, quite frankly. Because yeah, like I said, most SUVs can only carry 4 passengers, can't carry much more, or if any more, than the boot space in this. And yet this is a better car to drive, better to look at, and more fun to drive as well. So yeah, now you can get this out of the festival playlist, get it on, you only have to get 20 points, which is easy enough, and it's well worth getting because it's the newest estate car from Audi that we've ever had, and yeah, it's arguably the best one they've done so far, as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.